Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Today, we're going to talk about the biggest questions going into the Cotton Bowl. But before we do, let's get this video to 400 likes. We sincerely appreciate you more than you know. Alabama, as you know, is favored by 13 points against Cincinnati. But there are some other questions that are worth thinking about, statistically speaking, in this matchup. My first question for you: will Bryce Young throw for more than 324 yards? Against Georgia, he threw for 435. Against Auburn, 317. And against Arkansas, he really went off, throwing for 559. That was a school record. Now check this out. Cincinnati is allowing 168.3 yards passing per game, which is ranked second in the country. Remember, Alabama will be without wide receiver John Mechie. 96 receptions on the season. He's out with a knee injury. So Jamison Williams, you got to think he's going to step up. And we're also trying to figure out which other wide receivers are going to step up within this game. You know, one of these dynamic younger wide receivers is going to step up. Who's it going to be? How many rushing yards for Brian Robinson? Over 85? Against Georgia, Brian Robinson ran for 55. Against Auburn, 71. Against Auburn, 122. Another note to remember, Alabama is down to two scholarship running backs, Brian Robinson and Trey Sanders, as the room has suffered tons of injuries in the backfield this season. Key note, Cincinnati is allowing 137 rushing yards per game. Switching over to Cincinnati, got a question for you regarding their run game. How many yards for Jerome Ford? Over 67? Against Houston, Ford went off 187 yards. Against Eastern Carolina, 85 yards. And against SMU, 82 yards. Those were his last three matchups. Alabama is allowing just 82.9 yards rushing this season, which is fourth in the country. Big shout out to that Alabama defense. What do you think about Jerome Ford going up against his former teammates at Alabama? How many receiving yards for Jamison Williams? Over 112? That one seems pretty likely. Against Georgia, 184. Against Auburn, 43. Remember, he only played a half. Against Arkansas, 190. Now, with John Mechie being out, you got to think this one is certainly a lock when you think of over or unders, and you got to think that Jamison Williams plays a huge role against the Cincinnati Bearcats. My next question: how many receiving yards for Alabama's slot receiver, Slade Bolden? Over 37? Well, against Georgia, he had 68. Against Auburn, he had just 6. And against Arkansas, 49. Now, look, Slade Bolden just recently talked about being labeled as underrated. Do you think Slade Bolden could potentially be a wide receiver that steps up for Alabama in the Cotton Bowl? Now, how many passing touchdowns will Desmond Ritter throw for against Alabama? Do you think he'll throw for 2? Against Houston, he threw for 3. Against Eastern Carolina, 2. And against SMU, 3. Key point to remember: Alabama will be without Josh Jobe. Now, recently, Nick Saban did say that Jalen Armour-Davis is a game-time decision, but that it's likely that he will play, which is great news for Alabama's defense. Remember, you also got Kool-Aid, JaQuincy McKinstry, some vets at the safety position, and, of course, you got Brian Branch, Malachi Moore also in the secondary. Let me know what you think about these questions when we look at the statistics going into this game. Can't wait to break down the Cotton Bowl with you. Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Please hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Fam, we appreciate you more than you know. Thank you very much for helping us inch closer to 70,000 subscribers right here on BamaInsider.com.